woke anti-racist training comes to a department in Washington State in a really big way, and it actually teaches you to be a racist. Welcome to the Jason Rantz Show. It's brought to you by the Novak team, powered by Keller Williams. Visit them online at meetthenovaks.com. The Washington State Department of Labor and Industries, L&I, they have a lot of responsibilities. But now it includes teaching its staff to treat white people as racists and everyone else as victims. According to documents obtained by the Jason Rantz Show on KTTH, L&I is forcing racist, anti-white diversity training and resources on its staff. Now, the training right now is being fully developed as we speak. It's not ready, with the intent supposedly being around preventing discrimination and racism. The department, however, in the interim, is offering resources that demonize white people. This isn't merely racist training, it's anti-white racist training, and the distinction here is actually really important. It is doing the opposite of what it intends, and it's all being done intentionally. On the screen right now, you're going to see two new policies governing the staff in the office. L&I developed these policies largely due to a mandate by state human resources. And as these documents tend to be, they're really, really boring. And as usual, the devil is actually in the details. Right here is a highlighted portion of the policy explaining what staff will be trained on. They're going to be learning about diversity, equity, inclusion, but also something called cultural humility, plus oppression and bias. Now, some of that is the rote descriptions you see used, and the rest are kind of new, at least when it comes to this sort of training. A look at these resources offers to staff kind of what this is really about. Again, the devil's in the details. The training defines racism as a view that can only be held by white people. It argues that racism is, quote, racial prejudice plus power. And of course, that creates, in the United States, a, quote, white dominant culture that reinforces the use of power to create privilege for white people while marginalizing people of color. Doesn't matter whether or not it's intentional. So white people, by definition, they're the only ones who are capable of racism. And you better be willing to be called a racist. That was the message of a guest speaker by the name of Dr. Caprice Hollins. Staff who chose to attend the call earlier this year, they sat through this insufferable race grifting.
So again, I'm talking to my white brothers and sisters and non-binary friends. Accept that you will be seen as a racist. That is one of the labels that will be put upon you simply because you are white and you benefit from the white systems that our nation was founded on.
Get used to this, white people. Y'all are racist. Why does L&I employ so many racists? We don't really know. But they better be willing to do the self-reflection and work to break free from those toxic beliefs and privileges. And for the white folks dealing with the burden of white guilt, they'll be pleased to know that L&I is using training compiled by Dr. Kathy Obear. She's a white lady of white privilege. A quick view of her Twitter feed, you'll see she's an anti-Trump, anti-conservative activist. In between her time amplifying her bias on Twitter, she puts together worksheets like common patterns of racist attitudes and behaviors of many whites. White staffers are told that they tend to, quote, work to maintain the status quo and protect the advantage and privilege they receive. They often, quote, resent taking direction from a person of color. And you know what makes them especially racist? Claiming not to be racist according to the list. Don't you dare say you're not a racist. That makes you a racist. Employees are told that most of their white colleagues didn't earn their jobs. Instead, they benefited from white privilege. Now, according to this racist resource, quote, whites tend to believe they have earned what they have rather than acknowledge the extensive white privilege and unearned advantages they receive. They also foolishly believe that people of color can work hard for advancement. Apparently, that's a false belief. L&I uses another worksheet by Obear. It's titled Suggested Competencies for White Allies and Change Agents. The document is for the white staff to attest to their, quote, current level of competence so that they can, quote, identify goals for professional development. White progressives with that BLM lawn sign still proudly displayed outside their homes in Kirkland, no doubt landscaped by a person of color they're paying low wages to and taking advantage of, they look at a series of statements and they grade themselves. The statements include, I recognize how I was socialized as a white person and how these experiences still impact me today. I understand the damage and devastation whites have perpetuated on people of color over the centuries and currently. I recognize how institutional racism permeates societal institutions, including the legal, policing, and justice system, housing, healthcare, education, employment, the military, politics, the media, entertainment, etc. So, everything. Now, this list goes on and on and on some more. A spokesperson for L&I confirmed the department is mandating training. It's just not ready yet. What you saw is those interim resources for the white progressives to effectively get ready for that onslaught of messaging telling them they're all evil racists. The training material, let's be honest, it's embarrassing and it's disgusting. But above all, it's not just racist, it's anti-white. It teaches people to judge others based solely on skin color. It labels all white people racist and all people of color victims of a racist system. Of course, that's just not true. If you were to utter most of the material out loud, but you just substituted white people with any other racial group, you would be fired on the spot at L&I. That they're teaching staff this level of toxic garbage should be worrisome because it has real-world implications. If you view white people with such anger and disgust, if you blame them for racism and racist institutions, are you treating them equally during an L&I investigation? If you believe that only white people can be racist because some sort of power dynamic, can you actually fairly investigate a race discrimination claim by a white employee? Are you giving businesses run by people of color a pass for dangerous safety violations when you wouldn't do that to white people? Powerful, racist white progressives are implementing training like this. They adopt a radical worldview, thinking it's going to make them some black friends. It's not. This is racist and it is wrong. It will lead to more discord and conflict unnecessarily. And our tax dollars are paying for it. How about this? Let's treat everyone with respect, regardless of their skin color. I thought that's what we were supposed to do.